I'm sitting in my office at BioNova. The glow from the computer screen illuminating the stack of technical reports in front of me. The numbers and charts of the AI diagnostic algorithm flicker, but I just want to check the final box and end the workday. San Francisco outside the window is bathed in neon lights, the Golden Gate Bridge faintly visible through the fog. At 45, I've grown used to these late evenings, where the office is my refuge from the scars my family left behind. The phone vibrates, shattering the silence. My mother's name, Tran, appears on the screen. I hesitate, my finger hovering over the answer button. She rarely calls, and when she does, it's usually to demand something that comes at a steep cost. I take a deep breath, press answer, and switch to speaker. Her voice fills the room, a familiar mix of accusation and desperation, as if I'm always the one letting her down. "Nathan, Sophie needs you," she says, her voice breaking, like she's on the verge of tears. "Your sister is dying." I let the silence stretch, my hand trembling as it holds a pencil, hovering over the report's final box. The name Sophie Lee, the woman I once called my sister, tightens my chest, a dull pain rising. Despite the years, her name still cuts like a blade. "What do you want from me?" I ask, my voice cold, trying to mask the bitterness. "She has leukemia, the aggressive kind." Her voice cracks, choked with emotion. "The doctors say you're the only match for a bone marrow transplant. You're her only hope."
Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the latest video.
I, Nathan Tran, 45 years old, once saw Sophie as my beloved sister, but 6 months ago she systematically destroyed my career. I still remember the day BioNova's board called me in, accusing my AI diagnostic algorithm 5 years of my life's work of critical errors that endangered patients. They presented evidence ex post spreading false information, calling me a tech fraud, forged emails sent to the leadership, and falsified technical reports, all orchestrated by Sophie, a communications expert, in collusion with Evan Carter, my rival colleague. I was fired, my reputation in ruins, $1 million contract gone. Sophie never apologized, never looked back, and now, she needs my bone marrow to survive. "I'll think about it," I say, my voice soft but firm, hanging up before she can protest. The office suddenly feels stifling, the smell of stale coffee and fluorescent lights making it hard to breathe. I grab my coat, stride quickly to the door, nearly colliding with Luke Vo in the hallway. "Whoa, what's the rush?" Luke, 42, my best friend and colleague, grabs my shoulder, his tone half joking, half concerned. He frowns, studying my face. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Worse. Family," I reply, attempting a smile but failing. "Sophie's sick. They want my bone marrow." Luke freezes, his eyes darkening. He's one of the few who knows the whole story. "Sophie, the one who posted those smear campaigns on X, who got Evan to fake reports to steal your project." "The very same." I lean against the wall, suddenly exhausted. "Mom's probably on her way here to pressure me. She's always been good at that." As if summoned, my phone buzzes with a text from her. "I'm coming to your office. We need to talk." I show it to Luke, muttering, "Speak of the devil," and she appears. "Want me to stick around?" Luke asks, concern in his voice, hands in his pockets. I shake my head. This is something I have to handle myself. Luke claps my shoulder and heads toward the elevator, leaving me with my chaotic thoughts. I return to the office, slumping into my chair, gazing at San Francisco's skyline, where neon lights glitter like they're mocking me. Sophie, the sister I once protected, who I led by the hand through Golden Gate Park when she was little, but also the one always favored by Mom, always above me in her eyes. I recall a time when I was 16, winning first place in a regional coding competition with an automation software. I brought the trophy home, beaming, thinking Mom would be proud, but she barely glanced at it, turning to praise Sophie for being chosen as class president. Sophie, then 9, gave me a triumphant smile, as if she knew she was always the center. Mom never saw my efforts, only Sophie's glow, even if built on lies. The scandal 6 months ago was the final straw. I still keep those ex-posts. Their venomous words branding me a tech fraud. Sophie, with her communication savvy, knew how to make rumors spread like wildfire. She worked with Evan, who provided evidence that my algorithm gave false results. BioNova's board gave me no chance to explain. They fired me on the spot. And tech media called me Silicon Valley's failure. Sophie didn't just take my job. She took my trust. The dreams I built through countless sleepless nights. I rub my temples trying to dispel the headache. Mom wants me to save Sophie. But why should I? After everything she's done. After years of Mom neglecting me to coddle her. Yet, deep inside, a small part of me wavers. Sophie was once my sister. The little girl who held my hand and laughed. Can I turn my back? Even after she turned hers on me. The phone buzzes again. Another text from Mom. I'm almost there. You can't say no to your sister. I stare at the message, feeling suffocated. San Francisco outside still sparkles, but inside me, a storm is brewing. I'm sitting in my BioNova office, fluorescent lights casting a glow over the cluttered desk of papers. San Francisco outside the window still glimmers, but I have no mind to admire it. Mom's text, I'm coming to your office. We need to talk, lingers on my phone screen. Like a warning, I rub my temples trying to fend off the headache. Sophie, who destroyed my career, now needs my bone marrow to live. And Mom, as always, is ready to force me to do what she wants, no matter what I've endured. 20 minutes later, the office door swings open. Mom steps in, clutching a beige envelope. Her face older than I remember. Black hair streaked with gray stark under the lights. She doesn't greet me, just sets the envelope on my desk, and spreads out papers like she's presenting evidence in court. These are Sophie's medical records. She says brusquely, the bone marrow procedure isn't dangerous. You'll be back at work in a week. I pick up a sheet, skimming it without really reading. Hello, Mom, I say deliberately soft, with a hint of sarcasm. Long time no see. Don't be difficult, Nathan. She snaps, her eyes sharp as knives. This is your sister's life. Funny, I reply, keeping my tone even. When my career was destroyed, neither you nor Sophie cared about my life. Mom waves a hand, dismissing me. That again, you're still obsessed with those ridiculous accusations. Sophie would never do that. I have proof. My words cut through the air like a blade. Fake emails, Evan's testimony, even a recording of Sophie and him. Want to see? Mom pales but quickly regains composure. The past doesn't matter anymore. Sophie is your sister. Is she? I stand, walk to the file cabinet, and pull out a thick folder labeled DNA evidence. I place it on the desk, right in front of her. Her eyes lock onto it, like a snake staring at prey. What is that? She asks, her voice trembling. Insurance, I say softly, almost a whisper, for situations exactly like this. Did you think I wouldn't investigate after what happened? That I wouldn't dig deeper? You're being unreasonable. Her voice falters, her hands shaking as she gathers Sophie's medical records. Your sister is dying, Nathan. Whatever game you're playing. No games, Mom. I sit back down, crossing my arms on the desk. Just the truth. For the first time in this family's history, we're going to face the truth. Mom doesn't say another word. She turns away, the urgent clack of her high heels echoing down the hallway. When she's out of sight, I open the DNA file, staring at the results I received last week. The truth is right there, in black and white. Sophie is not my sister, not only a betrayer, but not even my blood. I pick up the phone and dial Lucas.
Luke. Hey.
Remember when you said you'd help me no matter what? I ask when he answers. I need a favor. What do you know about tracking down biological parents? I recall a time when I was 18, just accepted to college with a full scholarship thanks to an AI coding project. I eagerly told Mom, thinking she'd be proud, but she only nodded, then turned to ask Sophie, then 11, about her new ballet routine. Sophie beamed, and Mom hugged her, praising her as if she'd won a Nobel Prize. I stood there, holding my certificate, feeling invisible. Mom's favoritism wasn't new. but each time it cut into me. Now sitting in my BioNova office, I realized that favoritism led to the scandal 6 months ago. Sophie, with her communications talent, spread false rumors on X, calling me a tech fraud. She collaborated with Evan Carter, faking data to slander my AI algorithm. BioNova's board fired me, my reputation in tatters. Mom never asked, never doubted Sophie. She always chose her, and now she wants me to save her. I stand, walk to the window, and look out at glittering San Francisco. Luke texts.
Got a lead.
Guy named Carlos Rivera, doctor in Phoenix, digging more. I nod though Luke can't see. The truth is coming to light, and I won't stop until every secret is exposed. The hallway of UCSF Medical Center reeks of antiseptic and cheap coffee. I stand outside Sophie's room, trying to steady myself. Luke waits by the elevators, his eyes full of concern as I walk forward. You don't have to do this, he reminds me, but I shake my head. Yes, I do, I reply, smoothing my coat, a habit from research presentations. She needs to see my face when I say no. I push the door open and step inside. Sophie sits on the hospital bed, scrolling through her phone, pale and gaunt. She still exudes perfection. A silk robe paired with designer pajamas. Some things never change.
Well, look who's here.
She says, not looking up. Come to play the hero. I'm here to answer in person. I say, standing near the door, keeping a safe distance. The answer is no. Sophie sets her phone down, her practice smile faltering slightly. You're not serious. Dead serious. I cross my arms, meeting her gaze. Call it karma. Karma. Sophie laughs, but the sound is hollow. For what? Still bitter about that little misunderstanding at BioNova. Little misunderstanding. My voice rises though I try to stay calm. You destroyed my reputation. 5 years of research gone. All because you couldn't stand that I might succeed. Oh please. Sophie rolls her eyes. You're always so dramatic. I did you a favor. That project was going nowhere. And you know it. A favor. I step closer, clenching my fists to keep from exploding. You posted smears about me on X, faked emails, convinced Evan Carter to lie about my data. You call that a favor? Don't drag Mom into this. Sophie cuts in, as if anticipating my next move. She always said,
Don't.
I interrupt, my voice sharp as a blade. Don't you dare bring Mom into this. She's been covering for you since we were kids, but not this time. A nurse pokes her head in, likely drawn by my rising voice. Everything okay, she asks. Fine, Sophie replies, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. My brother's just leaving. Not yet. I wait for the nurse to leave, then turn back to Sophie. I want to hear you admit it. Tell me why you did it. Sophie leans back, her face shifting. The fake smile gone, replaced by a bitter edge. Because you deserved it. Always so perfect, so smart, so dedicated. Poor Nathan, working so hard, while I got everything handed to me. But you know what? I worked too, just smarter. By sabotaging me, I grit my teeth. By manipulating everyone, by understanding how the world works. Sophie leans forward, her eyes glinting, whether from fever or malice. I can't tell. You think talent matters? Integrity, please. It's about who you know, who you can manipulate. I learned that from Mom. Speaking of Mom, I pull out my phone, opening a photo of the DNA results. Want to hear something interesting? I'm dying, Nathan. Sophie says, her voice weary. I don't have time for your games. Make time. I turn the screen toward her. Look at these markers. Paternal DNA. Notice anything odd? Sophie squints at the screen, then freezes. What is this? Proof we don't share the same father. I pocket the phone. Ask Mom about it. See how she reacts. But hurry up. You're running out of time. Do it for Mom. Sophie hisses, her voice growing desperate. Be useful for once. I step to the bedside, leaning down to meet her eyes. Funny, you sound just like her, but I'm done. Done being the family's doormat. Want my bone marrow? Earn it. Earn it. Sophie asks, her voice trembling. Confess everything. The fake emails. The lies getting Evan to falsify reports. Write it down. Sign it. Notarize it. Then we'll talk. You'd let me die over this.
Sophie's voice breaks. Over your precious career. No, Sophie. I straighten. My voice ice cold. I'd let you die because you've never faced consequences for your actions. Not once in your life. I turn away. My hand still shaking. Consider my offer. You have 3 days. I walk out. Head high though my heart is heavy. Let it go. Luke asks. Still waiting by the elevator. As expected. I reply. Pressing the elevator button. She'll tell Mom about the DNA within the hour. Then the real fun begins. The elevator doors open with a cheerful ding. Want to help me find her real dad? I ask Luke. Luke smirks. You know I'm in for the fun. I recall a time when I was 14, building a small robot for Sophie's birthday. I spent weeks coding it, hoping she'd love it, but Sophie barely glanced at it, turning to Mom to show off the expensive gift she'd gotten. Mom smiled, hugged Sophie, and I stood there, feeling like I didn't exist. That favoritism led to the scandal 6 months ago, when Sophie destroyed my career out of jealousy. Now, standing in UCSF Medical Center, I know the truth about the DNA will tear this family apart, and I'm ready to let it happen. My San Francisco apartment is dim, lit only by the desk lamp casting light on the papers. Luke and I have spread across the dining table. DNA results are scattered about, their numbers and charts telling a story my family hid for 38 years. Sophie isn't my sister. She carries Latin genetic markers, while my father, Tran, was purely Vietnamese. I sip my coffee, trying to stay calm as Luke points to a highlighted section. Look at this, he says. Sophie's paternal lineage shows strong Hispanic markers. Your dad was Vietnamese, right? Right, I reply, my voice low. My dad had no trace of Latin ancestry. I remember my father's pale green eyes and jet black hair. Traits nowhere to be seen in Sophie. My phone buzzes. A text from Clara Nguyen, my ex-wife. Heard about Sophie. Need to talk. Important. I frown, showing the text to Luke. Talk about things needing explaining. I mutter. Clara and I divorced 5 years ago. After misunderstandings I now suspect Sophie orchestrated. Wanna bet? Luke grins. She definitely tried something with Clara. I nod, quickly typing a reply. Agreeing to meet Clara at the usual cafe near the Golden Gate Bridge. Keep digging on Carlos Rivera. I tell Luke, I want everything on him.
An hour later, I'm sitting across from Clara at the cafe. The aroma of roasted coffee hitting my nose. Clara, 44, still carries the confidence of a lawyer, but her eyes are anxious. She pushes her latte aside, looking straight at me. I should have told you this ages ago. She begins, her voice low. Sophie came to my office a week before we split. She said you were cheating with your business partner, Lisa. I nearly choke on my coffee. What? I set the cup down, coffee spilling onto the table. I didn't believe her at first. Clara continues, but she had photos. You and Lisa hugging outside a restaurant. She said you met Lisa monthly. That was an investor meeting. I slammed my hand on the table, my voice louder than intended. Lisa was telling me they approved funding for my project. I was going to surprise you. Clara lowers her head, her face full of regret. I know now. Lisa told me everything last year, but by then I'd moved away, and you'd remarried. I give a dry laugh, devoid of humor. She really wanted to take everything from me, didn't she? I shake my head, feeling another stab of betrayal. Anything else? Clara pulls out her phone, opening an email. She contacted me last week, saying she's sick, needing money for experimental treatment. Asked if I'd reconsider our relationship. I grit my teeth, while asking for my bone marrow. My phone buzzes. A text from Mom. Please call back. We need to talk about what you told Sophie. Still playing the victim. I mutter, showing the text to Clara. Always has. Clara replies, her voice bitter. I stand, gathering my things. Thanks for telling me, Clara. Better late than never. Back at the apartment, Luke has made progress. He points at his laptop screen. Check this out. Sophie's genetic markers match Spain. Around the time your mom worked at St. Luke's Hospital, only one Hispanic doctor was in her department then. Carlos Rivera. Carlos Rivera. I repeat, the name fitting like a puzzle piece falling into place. Find him. Already did. Luke grins. He's the head of surgery at Memorial Hospital in Phoenix. Never married. No kids. At least none he knows about. My phone buzzes again. Mom's calling. Nathan, please. Her voice rasps through the speaker. Horse, whatever you think you know. I know enough. I cut her off. My voice ice cold.
Yeah. Did Dad ever suspect anything?
Your father has nothing to do with this. She replies, but her voice trembles.
He's gone. I correct, my tone sharp.
Dad's been dead for 5 years. Convenient for keeping secrets, isn't it? You don't understand. Mom's voice is almost a whisper. No, you don't understand. I grip the phone tightly. I'm done being the family's punching bag. Want to save Sophie. Start telling the truth. I hang up, turning to Luke.
Have you got his contact info yet?
Email, phone number, office address, the works. Luke replies but hesitates. You sure about this? I open my laptop, pulling up the DNA results. Paternity probability 0%. I read aloud, a dark smile curling my lips. Now it gets fun. My phone lights up with a text from Sophie. Mom's freaking out. What did you do? Answer me. You can't prove anything. I type a single line. Check your email. Science doesn't lie, sis. I hit send, feeling like I've just dropped a bomb. I remember when Sophie, at 12, deliberately spilled water on my laptop, ruining an AI project I was about to submit for a competition. Mom only scolded her lightly, then bought Sophie a new dress to comfort her. I stood there watching my work destroyed, and Mom didn't care. I chose the old Tran family house in San Francisco for the meeting. The Victorian house, with its dark wood walls and dusty windows, carries childhood memories where everything began, and will now end. There's something poetic about tearing it all down right here. I step into the living room, the scent of old wood and coffee lingering in the air. Mom, my Tran, stands in the corner, her hands trembling as she arranges a tray of untouched cookies. Sophie, brought from UCSF Medical Center, sits in an armchair, wrapped in an expensive wool blanket, looking frailer than ever, but her eyes still sharp. I set my briefcase on the coffee table, my voice calm. I'm on time, aren't I? Starting what? Sophie asks, her voice hoarse, attempting a smile but ending in a cough. Your confession, I reply, opening the briefcase and pulling out 3 sets of documents. I brought copies for everyone. Mom collapses into a chair, her face aging a decade. Nathan, please, she whispers. We can talk privately, like you talked privately about Sophie's real father. I smile, devoid of warmth. Those days are over. The doorbell rings. Mom jumps. Who's that? She asks, her voice quivering. That's Luke, I say, standing to open the door. Lucas. Luke Fott steps in, nodding professionally to everyone before sitting by the window, like a silent witness. Now I continue, spreading out the 3 document sets. Let's talk conditions. Conditions. Sophie tries to laugh, but coughs again. You're turning this into a business deal. Didn't you do that with my career? With my marriage to Clara? I look at Sophie, watching her pale. Oh right, Clara told me everything. The lies, the fake photos, even your recent attempt to reconnect with her. Nice performance. I was desperate, Sophie says, her voice breaking. You don't know what that feels like. Desperate. I cut her off, my voice sharp as a blade. Try watching your research get smeared. Try hearing colleagues whisper behind your back. Try losing everything because your sister was jealous. Enough. Mom stands, her hands shaking violently. We're here to talk about the bone marrow. No, I reply, pulling out a recorder. We're here because you and Sophie need me. But first, let's talk about Carlos Rivera. Mom drops the cookie tray. The porcelain shatters on the wooden floor, shards scattering like shrapnel. How did you find him? She asks, her voice faltering. Not hard, I say. Head of surgery at Memorial Hospital in Phoenix. Never married. No kids. Well, at least none he knows about. Sophie glances between me and Mom, her eyes wide. Mom, who's he talking about? Your father, I say bluntly. Your real father. The room falls silent, save for the ticking of the wooden clock. A piece my dad, Hugh, once fixed, unaware of his wife's secret. You're lying, Sophie whispers, but her eyes are glued to Mom. Am I lying? I lean forward. Mom, want to tell us about your affair? About how you let my dad raise another man's child without telling him or the guy? Mom slumps into the chair, hands covering her face. I did what I had to do, she whispers. Did you? I ask. Or did you just do what was easiest? My phone buzzes. Luke checks his phone, then gives me a meaningful look. Interesting timing, I say, reading the text. Want to know who just arrived in San Francisco? Don't, Mom pleads, her voice nearly a sob. Carlos Rivera just checked into the downtown Marriott. I say, Luke reached out to him last week. He's eager to meet his daughter. Sophie starts crying, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. Mom looks like she might faint. Here's how this works. I continue pushing the documents forward. Sophie, you sign a full confession about what you did to my career. Mom, you sign this, admitting to the affair and paternity fraud. In exchange, I'll consider donating the bone marrow. Consider. Sophie's voice breaks. I could die, and I've lost everything. I reply. Oh wait, I actually did. I stand gathering my things. You and Mom have until noon tomorrow to decide. If I don't get both signed statements, the next call goes to Carlos. You'd really do this? Mom asks, her voice trembling. To your own family. Family. I laugh dryly. You taught me everything about family. About loyalty. About love. I head for the door, Luke following. Consider this your final lesson to me. Wait, Sophie calls. What did he look like? I pause, hand on the doorknob. Want to know? Sign the papers. Outside. Luke sighs. That was intense. It's not over yet. I check my phone. 3 missed calls from Mom. Want to grab dinner? I bet they'll need all night to decide. You really made them sweat. Luke says, half admiring, half worried. They've made me sweat my whole life. I reply, getting into the car, glancing at the living room lights through the window. Mom stands there, looking lost in her own web of lies. Good. I start the car, my phone buzzing again. Mom's calling. I decline the call, smiling. I drive to St. Mary's Church, where Father Daniel is tending the rose garden, as he's done since I was a kid. I step out of the car, the night air cool. Nathan, is that really you? He looks up, recognizing me. Hey, Father. I reply, managing a smile, still fighting those aphids. He chuckles, wiping his hands on his apron. Some battles never end. What brings you here? It's been a while. I need to ask about Mom, I say, and a man named Carlos Rivera. The pruning shears slip from his hands, clattering to the ground. Father Daniel's face pales. Come inside, he says softly. In the church office, the smell of old books and coffee surrounds us. Father Daniel closes the door, sitting down. I'm guessing this is about Sophie's condition, he says. Your mom called me yesterday, pretty frantic. Did she tell you what I found out? I ask, watching him closely. He's not surprised enough. My stomach twists. I know enough, I say, my voice cold. Sophie isn't my dad's daughter. She's Carlos Rivera's. The hallway at UCSF Medical Center is cold, the fluorescent lights making everything harsher. Just an hour after the meeting at the old house, Sophie collapsed, her condition rapidly worsening. I sit in the waiting room, motionless, my hands gripping the briefcase holding Sophie's unsigned confession. Mom, my Tran, paces like a caged animal, her eyes cutting into me whenever they meet mine. This is your fault, she hisses, her voice trembling with anger and fear. If you'd just agreed to help from the start. Don't start, I warn, my voice ice cold. Not here. The nurse approaches, holding a clipboard. Mr. Tran, Sophie's asking to see both of you. I stand, following Mom into the hospital room. Sophie lies on the bed,
Her skin sallow, eyes sunken, a web of IV lines and machines encasing her like a technological cocoon. She looks at me, her gaze weak but determined. I need to talk, she whispers. To both of you. Mom rushes to the bedside, stroking Sophie's hair. Save your strength, sweetheart, she says, her voice choked. No. Sophie pushes her hand away, feeble but firm. I need to talk. She looks at me. I wrote a letter. Lynn has it. Lynn. I frown. Your college friend. Sophie nods, coughing, the sound wet and heavy. Lynn knows everything. What I did. What Mom helped me do. I told her to give you the letter if I don't make it. Mom freezes, her face paling. Sophie, you don't know what you're saying, she says, her voice trembling. I'm thinking clearer than ever. Sophie replies, the heart monitor beeping faster. I'm sorry, Nathan, for everything. But Mom, she made me this way. Enough. Mom stands abruptly, the chair crashing backward. You need to rest. What I need is the truth, Sophie says, her voice weak but sharp. For the first time, my phone buzzes. A text from Lynn. We need to talk. Sophie told me everything. It's important. I'll get the letter, I say, stepping back toward the door. Nathan. Wait. Mom calls, but I'm already gone. I meet Lynn at the cafe across from the hospital, the air thick with the smell of roasted coffee and toasted bread. Lynn, a petite woman with anxious eyes, slides a thick envelope across the table. I never agreed with what they did to you, she says immediately, before I can speak. Sophie told me everything last week, how your mom convinced her you were the enemy, how they planned every step to take you down. Planned. I grip my coffee cup, my hand trembling slightly. What do you mean? It wasn't just the BioNova scandal. Lynn pushes the envelope closer. Read it. Sophie read it all. I open the envelope, my hand shaking as I flip through the pages. Nathan, when you read this, I'm probably dead, or close to it, right, but you deserve the truth. Mom started turning us against each other when we were kids. She told me you were jealous, that you'd hurt me someday. Then she told you the opposite. She made us enemies our whole lives. The scandal wasn't random. Mom suggested it when she heard you were about to break through at BioNova. She said if you succeeded, I'd always be overshadowed. She helped me contact Evan, craft the lies. Even with Clara. Mom told me to follow you and Clara at the restaurant. Helped me stage the photos. That was Mom's weapon against you. Her insurance. Because she knew one day you'd find out the truth about my father. About her lies. I'm sorry. I realize too late. But I'm sorry. I sit in silence, feeling like I've been punched in the chest. Mom didn't just hide Carlos Rivera. She manipulated both of us, turning Sophie into a tool to control me. My phone buzzes. Luke texts. Carlos is here. Kissed you. Mom's threatening to go public with everything if you don't donate the Marrow. I laugh dryly, the sound harsh. Let her go public. I text back. I'll bring popcorn.
Nathan. Lynn looks at me, worried. What are you going to do? What they taught me, I reply. Standing, gathering the letter and my resolve. Destroy everything they hold dear. Back at the hospital, I see Mom outside Sophie's room, frantically typing on her phone, no doubt trying to control the narrative, trying to get ahead of this. I ask, making her jump. Too late. I just spoke to Lynn. Whatever Sophie told her. Mom starts, but I hold up the letter. It's all here. I cut her off. Every manipulation, every lie. Your masterpiece. I did what I had to do to protect my daughter. Mom says, her voice shaking. Which daughter? I step closer. The one you raised to be your accomplice, or the one you trained to be your victim? Mom's face collapses, but she tries again. Sophie's getting worse. The doctors say, go public. I interrupt, smiling coldly, watching her shudder. Tell everyone I'm a monster for not saving my sister. I'll respond with 30 years of documented psychological warfare. You'd let her die to prove a point? Mom asks, her voice breaking. No, Mom. I walk away, leaving her calling my name. I'd let her die because you taught me how. My phone buzzes. Luke. Carlos wants to meet tomorrow. Everyone together. End this. Perfect. I text back. Time for the final act. I remember when my dad, Hugh, taught me to fix the wooden clock at the old house. He said, "The truth always finds a way out, Nathan. Like gears, it'll turn to the right place." I stood there 10 years old, believing truth was good. Now at UCSF Medical Center, I know the truth is a weapon, and I'm ready to wield it. The conference room at UCSF Medical Center is cold, like a courtroom. Sophie, too weak to walk, and insisting on being here, is wheeled in by a nurse. Mom, my Tran, sits beside her, her face gaunt, eyes vacant. Luke stands by the door like a sentinel, while Lynn, Sophie's friend, clutches the envelope with the confession letter, nervously glancing around. And Carlos Rivera, Sophie's real father, commands the space with his mere presence, his eyes icy with restrained anger. I stand at the table, setting down copies of the DNA results, my voice calm. Let's begin. Everyone has questions. Today we'll have answers. I'll go first, Carlos says, his voice taut as a wire. How could you keep my daughter from me for 38 years? Mom flinches at her name. I was protecting my family, she replies, her voice feeble. By destroying mine. Carlos slams his hand on the table, startling everyone. I had a right to know. You were married, Mom retorts, her voice rising. I was divorced. Carlos cuts her off, staring her down. You knew that? We talked that night. He pauses, glancing at Sophie. The night everything changed. Sophie's heart monitor beeps faster. You knew she was divorced? She whispers. All this time, Mom said. She stops, her eyes pained. Mom told me you lost the baby. Carlos continues, his voice lowering. I moved to Phoenix, believing it. He shakes his head. Another lie. I pull out Sophie's confession letter. Speaking of lies, I say, my voice icy. Let's talk about what happened to my career. I start reading. Mom helped me craft the perfect plan to destroy Nathan's research credibility. She suggested using Evan Carter, knowing his testimony would carry weight. Stop. Mom stands, swaying. This isn't about. It's all about this. I cut her off, sliding the letter across the table. Every lie, every manipulation, every moment you pitted us against each other. Tell us, Mom. Tell us how you taught Sophie to hate me. I never. Mom starts, but I pushed the letter closer. It's all here. I say, how you poisoned both of us, turned us into pawns. Carlos picks up the letter, reading silently, his face darkening with each line. You used our daughter as a weapon, he says, turning to Mom, against her own brother, not her brother. Mom blurts, then covers her mouth, eyes wide with panic. The room falls silent, only the beeping of Sophie's monitor audible. Exactly, I say softly. Now everyone knows why. Sophie starts crying, tears rolling down her sunken cheeks. I didn't know any of this, she whispers. About him being divorced, about Mom's manipulations. But you knew what you were doing when you destroyed my career. I remind her, when you tried to take Clara from me, because Mom said you'd always overshadow me. Sophie replies, her voice shattering, that you'd use your success to prove I was worthless. Enough. Carlos's voice cracks like a whip. You'll face legal consequences for this paternity fraud. He turns to me. And you, are you really ready to let Sophie die to prove a point? No. I pull out a final document. I'm willing to donate the marrow, with conditions. Mom lunges, trying to grab the paper, but I hold it back. Condition 1. Mom publicly admits everything. The affair, the lies, manipulating both kids. Condition 2. Sophie's confession goes to BioNova, and every tech journal that smeared me. Condition 3. Carlos gets full access to Sophie if he wants. You're blackmailing us. Mom's voice trembles. I learned from the best. I reply. Sophie's monitor alarms. Nurses rush in. Her blood pressure's dropping. One says, we need to get her back to her room. Wait. Sophie grabs my hand, weak but fierce. I'll sign everything. Please, help me. I look at her, past the mask of manipulation, seeing a scared woman beneath. You'll tell the truth about everything? I ask. Yes. Sophie squeezes my hand. I'm tired of lying. Then fine, I say softly. I'll help you. As the nurses wheel Sophie away, Carlos approaches. You're stronger than I thought, he says. No, I reply, watching Mom run after Sophie. I'm just their product. Luke touches my shoulder. Paperwork for the Marrow donation and confessions is ready. Good, I say, gathering my things, suddenly exhausted. Let's end this. As I leave the room, Carlos calls out, Nathan, thank you for finding me, for telling the truth. I nod, unable to speak, throat tight. Outside, the sun is setting, painting the hospital windows gold and blood red. My phone buzzes. A text from Mom. I'll sign everything. Save her. I sigh, feeling like I've just walked through a battlefield. The Marrow donation leaves me aching, but satisfied. Sitting in my apartment, I read the news on my tablet. Researcher vindicated after scandal. Family fraud. Shocks medical community. My phone buzzes. Luke calls. Seen the retractions yet? Every journal that trashed you is apologizing like crazy. Mom's public confession helped, I say, touching my still sore hip. Truth does a lot. Speaking of truth, Luke continues. Sophie's responding well to treatment. You planning to visit her? I don't answer. Just look out the window where San Francisco glitters under the lights. I remember my dad Hugh saying truth always wins, Nathan, but it takes courage. Now in this apartment, I know I chose his path. I'm sitting in my new BioNova office, looking out at the Golden Gate Bridge glowing under San Francisco's sunset. The pain from the Marrow donation still lingers in my hip, but the satisfaction outweighs it. On my tablet, news headlines pop up. Researcher vindicated after scandal. Family fraud shocks medical community. Renowned doctor reunites with long-lost daughter. I sip my coffee, reflecting on the journey. Victory, I realize, isn't revenge. It's living true to my values. Speaking of truth, Luke continues. Sophie's responding well to treatment. Carlos told me. You planning to visit her? I don't answer before the doorbell rings. I open the door to find Mom, my Tran, standing there looking smaller than ever. She clutches a photo album, her eyes full of remorse. Can I come in? She asks. I step aside, letting her in but keeping my distance. She sits on the sofa, holding the album like a shield. Sophie's been asking about you, she says, her voice hoarse. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. You're right, you don't, I reply, my voice cold but not cruel. I'm sorry, Nathan, for everything. Mom slides the album across the table. I found this while cleaning the house before selling it. Selling the house? I frown, picking up the album. Mom nods, partly to start over. Carlos's lawyer suggested using the money to cover Sophie's treatment costs and compensate you. I open the album, old photos surfacing like forgotten memories. Me at a coding competition, holding a trophy with a wide grin. Sophie and me kids playing together at Golden Gate Park before Mom drove us apart. I destroyed something precious, Mom says softly. Something that could have been beautiful. My phone buzzes. A text from Carlos. Sophie's latest test results are good. She's asking about you again. Mom continues. Sophie wants to make amends. So do I. Make amends. I give a dry laugh. How do you make up for 30 years of psychological warfare? Start with the truth, Mom replies, pulling out an envelope. This is my full confession. Everything I didn't say publicly. Every manipulation. Every lie. Every moment I turned you two against each other. Do what you want with it. I take the envelope but don't open it. Why now? Because I'm tired. Mom stands, adjusting her coat. Tired of lying, of pretending, of being the monster I've become. She heads to the door, pausing. Carlos is a good man. He would have been a good father. Yeah, I say, he would have been. After Mom leaves, I call Luke. I need a favor. Come with me to see Sophie. Sophie's hospital room is brighter than before, the curtains open to let sunlight flood in. Sophie sits up as I enter, her complexion better, eyes clear. Luke stands by the door watching. You came, Sophie whispers, her voice full of surprise. I did, I reply, sitting down. Mom gave me her full confession today. I know, Sophie says, nodding. She gave me a copy too. She picks at the blanket's edge, her voice trembling. Have you read it? Not yet. I look at her. It's worse than we thought it. Isn't it? Sophie nods, her eyes wet. What Mom did, how she played us. She looks up. Sorry isn't enough, but I'm sorry, and I want to fix what I broke. How?
I ask, my voice still cautious. I've contacted every organization that blacklisted you, Sophie says, pulling a stack of documents from the bedside table. I told them everything, and I've transferred my trust fund to support your research. I stare at the documents, stunned. Sophie, you, please, she interrupts. Let me do one good thing. My phone buzzes. A text from Carlos. Dinner with both my kids would mean everything. I look at Sophie. We can't go back, I say. We can't be the siblings we should have been. I know, Sophie replies, her voice small, but maybe we can be something new. Something honest. I think of Mom's confession. Carlos's text. The sunset outside washing the world clean. Dinner, I say. With Carlos. Start this. Sophie smiles. A fragile but genuine smile. Thank you for saving me. I didn't do it for you. I stand. I did it for who I am. Despite what they tried to make me. As I leave, Luke claps my shoulder. You okay? I glance back at Sophie's room. The photo album in my briefcase. The confessions in shirt. The truth will never be bare. No, I answer honestly. But I will be. Outside, the rain has stopped. A rainbow appears. A symbol of consequence and hope. My phone buzzes one last time. Carlos has reserved a dinner spot for 3. I text back one word. Sometimes victory isn't winning everything. Sometimes it's surviving, choosing truth over revenge, and building something new. From the story of Nathan Nate Tran reflects deep issues in today's American society, especially family conflicts, career pressures in the tech industry, and the power of truth in a world dominated by social media. In the context of San Francisco in 2025, Nate faces Sophie's betrayal, who sabotaged his career through ex-posts and falsified data, alongside the manipulation of his mother, Mai, who hid the secret of Sophie's real father, Carlos Rivera. These details mirror realities in America, where technology and social media can swiftly ruin reputations, as seen in today's cancel culture cases. Nate's journey from investigating DNA, confronting at UCSF Medical Center, to donating marrow despite the pain shows the importance of facing the truth, even when it hurts. His meeting with the priest at St. Mary's Church, and reconciliation with Sophie through honesty, highlight the value of forgiveness and rebuilding from brokenness, a theme that resonates with American culture, where complex family relationships often require open communication. Nate's story teaches us that truth is the key to overcoming conflict and rebuilding relationships in modern American society. Instead of seeking revenge on Sophie for destroying his career at BioNova, Nate chooses to donate marrow and demand public confessions, showing the strength of ethical action even when betrayed. This lesson applies to real life when facing injustice. Seek to restore truth through dialogue and honest action, rather than letting anger lead. In American culture, where families are often divided by secrets or misunderstandings, learn to communicate openly, as Nate did at St. Mary's Church with Father Daniel, to resolve conflicts. Finally, Nate's creation of a research fund to support young scientists reminds us that turning pain into positive action, like community support, is a way to create lasting change, especially in a society that values innovation and personal responsibility. Subscribe to the channel to catch more moving stories about truth and healing like Nate's journey. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video, where we'll keep exploring profound life lessons.